death of Ben Alexander from Penrith Panthers. He was killed in a road crash on Sunday night, absolutely tragically, one of Australia's brightest stars. And also Mrs. Glenys Gleeson, the mother of one of the New South Wales police team. You can hear the announcer telling the crowd here all about that now.
Glenys from Wallsend was tragically killed in a car accident late last week. If we could just remember them with a minute's silence.
Two tragic accidents that really have rocked this part of the world to its boots, and particularly, Mike, the Ben Alexander incident. That really is a tragic loss for rugby league in this part of the world.
Certainly is, Eddie, and tragically to think that the fact that he was just awarded a Premiership Blazer from last season, only 2 hours before the tragic accident.
Contingent from West Hull. They're from all over the UK, the British supporters, and now advance Australia. Australia Fair, the Australian national anthem. This really is the traditional tour fixture. A proud history of matches against Great Britain, Newcastle. And they've met Newcastle District 11 times in post-war football. Newcastle District have won only 3. But this tonight is a different kettle of fish as far as Great Britain's opposition is concerned. The Newcastle Knights now are a Winfield Cup outfit, and we all know what that means in terms of professionalism and everything else. There's the lineup that Newcastle will put out. Some very, very formidable players in that pack, as I said earlier on. Great Britain, confirmation, Lydon's at fullback, Hunt and Hallis on the wings, Connolly and Devereux in the centres, Ellis and Fox the halfbacks, Hanley comes back, he's the captain at lock forward, Jackson and Mcnamara, Harrison and Broadbent and Lee Jackson. And what a story for Paul Broadbent of Sheffield Eagles. This is his representative debut. He was over here to train with South Sydney, and now he gets his chance in a British jersey. Mike, it's quite remarkable.
Unbelievable, and in fact, Paul Broadbent will make history. The first man from outside a tour has actually been in Australia to be requested to play for the British Lions. A proud moment indeed for the number 10, Paul Broadbent.
Well, I told you the British are here in evidence. They're everywhere, and our camera's picking them up for you. It's going to be Newcastle who will kick off, though. The referee tonight is Bill Harrigan, one of the top officials in New South Wales. He's the man in charge of the whistle. And there's Lee Jackson. He knows that with Martin Dermott with his dislocated thumb, that perhaps a test place is beckoning for him tonight if he puts on a big performance. Schuster then gets this match underway, and underneath it, Ellery Hanley. Now, is he flat out? Is he 100%? Well, he'll have to be to take tackles like that. Came through a fitness test yesterday. Not many people thought he'd pass it, but pass it he did. And Hanley out here and leading his men from the front. Harrison, Schuster and the number 12, David Mullane, in on him very quickly. Stewart and Mullane again. This time bringing Paul Broadbent down. Broadbent now knows what playing on a Lions tour is all about. That's the last tackle. Great Britain are 5 metres inside their own half of the field. Back to Lydon. Lydon with the kick ahead. That's a good kick into the deep open spaces. Great Britain have to hang off, remember. Give him 10 metres. And now Devereux can take him.
Good kick there by Joe Lydon. So far on this tour, the kicking game has not been excellent. And I'm sure that the coach, Malcolm, really will be looking at Lydon's form tonight.
Newcastle then in possession with Michael Hagan. I notice Sam Stewart led them onto the field, but it's Hagan who is the captain. Big break from Mark Sargent. That's good backing up and support from Chapman, the hooker. Mark Sargent is a huge figure of a man, 1990 Kangaroo, and he will be a key figure tonight, as will Schuster.
Yes, Newcastle tonight without Harrigan, of course. He's called up for the second test in Melbourne next Friday. But what a great combination when you can bring someone like Sam Stewart into his position, an ex-Kiwi international.
Good deep kick from the scrum half, Matthew Rodwell. Takes Britain down into their own 22. This scrum. Let's get an early comment, shall we, from our sideline eye, and that belongs to Jonathan Davis. What about Hanley's return, Jonathan, early on?
Well, I think it's a big boost for the lads. You know, they're all back there. Everybody looks up to him. You know, they kick the ball straight to him. You know, he didn't offload or anything. He's looking for a bit of work. But at the moment, I think he's not functioning at full pace. You know, he'll take time to settle into this game because he hasn't played for so long. You know, hopefully for everybody's sake that he comes through it.
April 26 was the last time that Ellery Hanley played a match of any consequence in the Leeds colours against Warrington in the Premiership. And he only played 19 games last season for Leeds. This is Broadbent. Broadbent desperate to make a big impression tonight. Last tackle again. Lydon again with the kick downfield. Underneath it, O'Davis. And watching this fellow O'Davis, Hanley had encroached. He's caught offside. Watching O'Davis on Saturday in the match at St George, he scored a wonderful try, and I'm sure that Great Britain are alert to that.
Well, you can see that all the Great Britain players offside, well in front of the kicker. And Hanley not allowing him the 10 metres. Harrigan, Johnny on the spot.
I notice Ellery, that's a bad kick. I notice Ellery Hanley having a word with Bill Harrigan. He better be careful. Harrigan is the man who sent Steve Roach off at the weekend for Balmain. And Steve Roach now is in a 5-week ban. So they're tough on their offenders over here. In fact, they're even tougher. It's a 6-week ban. This is the lock forward Mark Glanville, another of the former Aussie schoolboys that decorate this Winfield Cup competition over here. Now Sam Stewart, the Kiwi. That's good tackling from Great Britain. Referee says that David Smith is held. Chapman with the kick ahead, and it just runs dead, just the wrong side of the post from Newcastle's point of view. Of course, the right side from the Lions' point of view.
A little bit of a wasted kick there, but this battle up front on the front row tonight, oh, watch out for the fireworks. Harrison, Jackson and Broadbent. This Newcastle front row is tough and tough.
Number 8, Mark Sargent. Number 8 for Great Britain is Carl Harrison. Now it's with Mcnamara. Whack! Straight in. Mcnamara, only off the plane at the weekend. He knows what David Mullane has in store for him tonight. That's a good run, though, from Michael Jackson. There's Joe Lydon, the Great Britain fullback, policing the area behind the play. Fox with a good deep kick. That's been an area, Mike, that Great Britain have been sadly lacking in their kicking game on this tour so far.
Well, Lydon is the man for the job. He's got a tremendous boot, and that gives you some indication. It's forced Newcastle back into their own 10-metre line, and good tackling should put pressure on them now.
Well, Hanley is there or thereabouts all the time, but not getting through that much work in the tackling department yet. Obviously finding his feet after such a long injury absence. A foot injury and then hamstring trouble. really has been a blight on this tour. Chapman is the dummy half, lays that ball back. That was Rodwell. He gives it to O'Davis. O'Davis down to the other end of the field to his opposite number, Lydon. Free weight for him. That's good tackling by the winger Tony Herman. Herman scored a try in each of his last 2 outings for the Knights. Alan Hunt, tackled by David Smith. Fox. Mcnamara.
It'll be interesting, Eddie, to see how the Great Britain halfbacks, Kevin Ellis and Derek Fox, combine. That's also been one of our problems on this tour. The halfback combinations just has not gelled.
Fox is in possession now. Now it's with Jackson. Now Hanley. Sargent tries to take him. He whistles away from a couple, and that's good play from Hanley. Gets it to Ellis. This is a great break from Kevin Ellis. He's seen a little bit of space. Hanley's moved up in support. Hanley keeps hold of it. Does he by his legs? No, it's a knock-on. And he's gone down. He's gone down, has Ellery Hanley. 6 minutes, and he thumped the floor in disgust. I think that could be the end of Ellery Hanley's tour. He's gone down. He's holding the hamstring. He's in agony.
Well,
and the gamble has failed.
Well, it looks that way. He kept the ball alive to give Kevin Ellis this break. You can see the upper body strength of this man. He may not be fully fit, but he's certainly got that strength upstairs. Ellis moves in. Now look for the pass. It's just in front. Hanley had to dive forward, and believe you me, that is very difficult for the hamstring area when you're stretching forward like that.
He's staying on, but he's hobbling. David Fever, the physiotherapist, running off. Here it is again. Look the way he had to stretch for that, and immediately I think he knew there was a big problem. Well, he's staying on, but there is no doubt that Hanley now, it looks like curtains.
Well, it looks to me, Eddie, as though that they've taken a big gamble here of the Great Britain management and also the English captain, Ellery Hanley.
Play continues with Schuster, Connolly and Mcnamara doing the tackling. Newcastle now prepared to spread the ball wide. They know that Hanley's only half fit and Sargent's running straight at him. Oh, that's a big mistake from Hagan. He's allowed to get away with that. That looked as though it might have been a knock-on. They're still coming forward. This is now Mackley. Mackley to Schuster once more. Great boos from the British contingent in this crowd. It's the last tackle now. I believe that should have been a knock-on decision. Chapman arrows the ball across the face of the post to Derek Fox. Good play from Fox. Kept his eye on the ball, ducked under the challenge, but can't eventually get away from the last two. And Hanley is gone. Hanley is off. Dejection written all over his face. And I think, as Paul Hume comes on to replace him, that that's the last we'll see of Hanley on this tour, Mike.
I think that is it, Eddie. That is a sad blow for Great Britain. But the Lions' pride will pick themselves up. It was a gamble that they tried here in Newcastle, and it has failed.
This is Hallis, so exciting against Illawarra. And the touch judge puts his flag up when it looked to me as though the tackle was completed. Hallis certainly touched the line, but in my book the tackle was held.
Well, he just puts his foot down as he gets through, but was the foot actually touching the chalk? I thought it was just above it. A little bit of nitpicking, in my opinion, by the touch judge.
There's Hanley, the picture of dejection. And I think we ought to go downstairs and have a word with Jonathan Davis, because, John, you've seen him at close quarters. It doesn't look good, does it?
No, and I kept my eye on him off the camera, and he limped. You know, ever since he went for that ball with Kevin Ellis, he was struggling. You know, he wasn't getting into the line. You know.
Bad news for the Great Britain camp, but do you, like us, think that could be the end of it? Well, maybe we'll get Jonathan's answer to that question in a moment. It's Lydon now. 10 minutes of this match gone, 0-0. But the important news is that Ellery Hanley lasted just 6 minutes and 41 seconds on my stopwatch. And he is off the field. The gamble has failed. Britain must now face Australia, I think, without him. But we must wait confirmation on that from the team doctor and from the British management team. Mcnamara it is, in possession. Great Britain 10 metres short of the line. Hallis the dummy half. Connolly having a run. It's the last one.
Newcastle are very short out wide. If it's a long ball, we could be in here.
Fox with the kick out towards that way, but it's a midfield bomb. Bounces off a Newcastle goal as well. I thought that it was off a Newcastle shoulder. The referee says it's penalty Newcastle under the sticks for offside.
Well, the kick was a high one. It did come off a Newcastle player. Ellis couldn't believe it. He got the ball away. And really the try was begging. The referee Bill Harrigan stating that quite a few of the Great Britain players were offside at the kick when Fox put toe to the ball.
Mark Sargent, watching him against St George on Saturday. What a game he had, marauding from midfield. So did this fella too, Schuster. He's seen plenty of the ball already tonight. That's Paul Hume, wearing 15, if you're just tuning in this morning, on for the injured Hanley. Hanley's gamble lasted 6.5 minutes or thereabouts. Here come the Newcastle Knights. Ball drops, and dropping on it for Great Britain is Lee Jackson.
Michael Jackson is receiving treatment. He really took a bad knock there. They really are going through the wars of the Lions at the moment.
Penalty to Great Britain. Trying to steal the ball in the tackle, I think, from the signal from the referee.
No doubt about it, Mark Sargent getting the right arm inside.
So not the spectacular opening that we perhaps thought, but slow and steady by Great Britain. Harrison, I think he must be a good shout for the second test in Melbourne, Carl Harrison.
Well, this is only his second game since getting off the plane. Ours, he played midweek and really did put a good performance, good showing, Carl Harrison. At least he's shown a lot of determination and going forward.
Here's Hallis, fed by Ellis, and he's pushed into touch by Mackley. Mackley on his debut season in the Premiership, number 5. Good tackling here.
Well, it was good ball there by Ellis to get out to Hallis, but really, as you say, good tackling. The wingman there using the touchline as an advantage. Hallis just nowhere to go.
There's the scrum count on the scoreboard where it matters. 0-0. On my watch, 13.5 minutes gone. That's good tackling from Connolly. And again, but he manages to worm away, does David Smith. And there's a bit of blood there on one of the players' faces, I noticed. Now then, just watch the way these fellas run. And watch this man, Mark Sargent, number 8.
That's looking very ominous, Eddie. We saw there our defence. They're standing back. You cannot let these big forwards get wind up. You've got to move up there and stop them before they get that momentum.
The kick ahead. Oh, brilliant kick. And that was Chapman, the hooker. Super kick. There's confirmation of the score. 14 minutes on the watch.
Well, he didn't have much luck with the first one in that other corner. But that really was a super kick, wasn't it? Landed on a sixpence, about 1 centimetre off the touchline. Can't get closer than that.
Referee has spotted the player with blood streaming down his face. And I think that is David Mullane, it is. He goes into the blood bin then to be patched up. .33 players had been used by Great Britain, by the way, before tonight. It equals the record number used on a tour in 1979. 33 players in 27 games. Harrigan waiting still for Mullane to receive treatment for the cut eye.
And you can see quite clearly it was about 2 inches long. They've just put a little bit of Vaseline on top. Bit of claret there, interesting, because Newcastle very famous for their clarets in the Hunter region.
That's a subject you would know all about. This is Paul Hume in at dummy half. Hallis has drifted in field, but Hume going on his own. Jackson now. And this is Michael Jackson. Now Lee Jackson. He's got Mcnamara in support, his Hull teammate. Elected to cling on, though, and take the tackle from Stewart. And Stewart and Chapman not allowing Jackson to regain his feet.
Silly penalty there by Newcastle. Jackson couldn't there, you see, trying to get away. He milked it pretty good and got the penalty. Referee Harrigan not to allow any of these players to lay across.
Would you agree, Mike, so far from the Lions, slow but steady start?
Well, I think when you've got so many players that probably haven't played together, you're looking at Broadbent and Harrison that's just got off the plane. Mcnamara, it's going to take a while.
But the link is there now. Mcnamara to Devereux. He is watched by Smith. Gets the ball away to his witness teammate Hume. Alan Hunt has a bit of space outside. But the space lasted just a second. Tony Herman closed the door, shut in his face. Devereux. Looking for a big game tonight, John Devereux.
Another man that'll be looking for a big game is a hooker, Jackson. And this man, Derek Fox, he'll take over the captaincy. He has to start taking control.
Here's Harris. What a match he had against Illawarra. Forced himself to the fringe of the test selection for the Sydney test. Injury robbed him of his opportunity. Fully fit back though now. Connolly. Good tackling by Schuster. Connolly couldn't get away. Lydon. And that just slices off his boot. Devereux is there. Almost gets the ball back. But mopping up is Glenn Miller. The Knights back in possession. Great Britain, good record here. They last lost in Newcastle in 1962 when Newcastle beat one of the greatest touring sides in history, and there's the disconsolate figure of Ellery Hanley. I think the expression on his face tells it all. Stewart coming forward, lifted off his feet a little bit dangerously by Connolly, but able to continue. So important, the kicking game to the Knights of Matthew Rodwell. That's easy for Lydon, but again he slips right on his own 22.
That was a good tackle by Gerry Connolly, the St. Helens player. But once again, Eddie, it's creeping in. We are not moving up. We're allowing these big forwards to run at us. That spells danger.
Here's Harrison, one of the big British forwards. I said it after the match he played at Parramatta. He was absolutely shattered. He was out on his feet. Recovered, taking his place tonight. There's Broadbent, talking to him in the hotel before we left. He's desperate for a big game tonight. And so too is Derek Fox. His kick downfield, collected by O'Davis. So many of this shadow squad, Mike, anxious to prove a point.
And I think they will tonight. They really seem fired up. A little bit of a shock losing their skipper, Ellery Hanley, so early. That would have jolted them because they'd have been working on planned moves over the weekend.
Knights in possession, though. This is Glanville, the lock forward. Ellis and Michael Jackson stopping him. Now this is Miller. Good tackling. Great tackling from Fox. A bit of help from Devereux. Devereux again, getting through some tackles. Ball comes free. And it was on the last tackle anyway, the referee says, I think. And so it'll be a turnover, will it? No, I think he's now signalled it's a scrum down. And he again wants Mullane to have more treatment on that cut eye.
A little bit excited there, Max Chapman, the Newcastle hooker, trying to keep the ball alive, trying to feed Michael Hagan. And surely they'll put a few stitches in this guy now. They're trying to get away with it by just spearing a little bit of Vaseline, a la boxing style. It looks like it's opened up pretty badly now.
Well, the referee is allowing him to have treatment just on the sideline. It's a fairly deep cut, isn't it? It's almost a cut you'd expect a heavyweight boxer to have after a few rounds. But he's getting the head taped. The big second rower. The British pack just blowing a bit hard there, no wonder. Big ask of them tonight. 20 minutes of this match gone. 0-0. The Knights and Great Britain. There's Broadbent. There's Mcnamara. Michael Jackson in the background. And Mullane patched up. And back he comes. Yet more British supporters in this crowd. Great to see them. They're having a ball for everyone back home. They're really loving every minute of it. Now Fox. Great Britain from the scrum. All square on that count, all square on the scoreboard too. 0-0. Lee Jackson is underneath the challenge from Stewart. And Glanville. Ellis. Maybe heard his shout. Steady, steady, steady. Ellis trying to settle the ship down. This really is a forwards battle so far. A bit of magic perhaps from Fox. Well, he saw a gap over on that far side. Put the ball there for Alan Hunt to chase. I know Davis gets away from him brilliantly. And through Devereux. But couldn't get away from Ellis. Good following up by the little Welshman.
Oh, good football from both sides. That was a good kick by Fox. And also a great play by Robbie O'Davis. Kept himself alive. Ducked under the Devereux tackle there to keep himself into the field of play.
The Knights inside their own quarter line. Britain will want to keep them there for a few more tackles yet. That's David Smith. Size of him for a centre. Rodwell with the kick. Fairly predictable, the rugby league in this part of the world, Mike. It's 5 drives and a kick.
Especially with this side, Newcastle, they've come under criticism over the past few seasons. David Waite, their new coach, says that he's trying to play more entertaining football, but I'm afraid it's all about just obtaining those 2 points on the Winfield competition. They don't really care how they get it, as long as they just get them.
Connolly couldn't hang on to that. Gerry Connolly, playing his more accustomed role now of centre, just couldn't keep hold of this. A little greasy, perhaps.
Well, he took his eye off the ball there, which is fatal in any game, but especially rugby league.
Great Britain win one against the head. That's good play from the British pack. Devereux, and he's not held. He's allowed to carry on. Ellis is in support. So too Connolly. Devereux going on his own. That's good to see. John Devereux, 35 tries last season for Widnes, Great Britain and Wales. Not really set Australia alight. Perhaps Lydon can now. Lydon! Great try! And Joe Lydon showing the form that many people think should force his way into the Test lineup in Melbourne on Friday. That was an excellent try from the British fullback.
Super football, all brought about by Devereux's run in first instance. He wasn't held. The determination, the good step, he'll gain a lot of confidence from that. And he kept there, kept his cool, tried to get the ball away, quick play the ball here. Connolly was on hand, and this is the reason why they still class him as one of the best players in the world, Joe Lydon. That's a reminder for the coach, Malcolm, really. Similar to what he did in the first test when he came on as a substitute. The man has got great skills.
Certainly has. That was a tremendous try from Joe Lydon. The Wembley fullback, of course, for his club Wigan. Kept Steve Hampson out of the side that day and is keeping Steve Hampson out of this side tonight. And Joe Lydon, many people believe he might well make his way onto the Test arena at fullback on Friday. Graham Steadman is the incumbent fullback at the moment, but Lydon, a lovely little smile. He enjoyed that moment, and it's going to be John Devereux who created that try with the run to take the kick.
Interesting, Eddie, that Joe Lydon, I classify him as a big game player, a man that is not overawed by any occasion. He's been down that road at Wembley, he's seen it all, done it all, and the skills that was on show tonight certainly proves that point.
Paul Hume looking in determined mood too. No doubt about it, this alleged second string of Malcolm Reilly's has played some good stuff on this tour and has made a very, very solid start here. That's the angle Devereux has. He's a Welshman. He's not a bad kicker. Kicked brilliantly for Widnes last season. and it's just faded away, but he got the distance, he got the height, it just moved away at the last moment. But watching that downstairs is Jonathan Davis. Great try from Lydon and good work from your teammate Devereux.
Yeah, it's nice to see John, you know, come in into his own again. You know, he made the yardage there, good break up the middle, and they were on the back foot. And Joe, you know, as he always done, he's all class. Joe just finished it off, and it's a great boost for the lads. You know, that's all they got to do is they are making easy yardage, but you know, they've got to move up and stop the Newcastle forwards making yardage as well.
So Great Britain are ahead by 4 points to 0 on my watch. 26 minutes gone. A few seconds, maybe less than that on the official time, because of the head injury that Mullane suffered and was allowed to have treatment on the field. This is Alan Hunt. Jackson. Good ground from the British hooker, running strongly from dummy half. Fox. And now Paul Hume. Paul Hume never ever takes a backward step. Broadbent. Thunderous challenge from Mullane. Last tackle. Britain still 8 metres or so inside their own half of the field here. Lydon. That's a good kick. It makes O'Davis have to retreat, take it over his shoulder. Unfortunately for him, who's facing his own post, Mike, otherwise it might easily have been a knock on there. Yes,
Harrigan gave him the benefit of the doubt, but once again we get back to that wonderful kicking by Joe Lydon. It is so important when you play any Australian side.
Rodwell is in at dummy half. This now is the big lock forward, Glanville. Referee's called held on the 22. Sargent. Good tackling. It's good play from Ellis, one of the smallest men on the British team, and Harrison, one of the biggest. Ellis is really getting involved tonight so far, isn't he?
Yes, the three quarters are really showing how to tackle. They're leading the way, mainly due to the fact that the big forwards are running out wide. They realise there's not much value running down the middle of the park. But it has been tremendous tackling by the three quarters so far.
Lydon retrieves Rodwell's kick and then is wheeled in by David Smith. Here's Alan Hunt. Now a bit of explosive pace from the St Helens winger, perhaps. Well, the two big prop forwards, Sargent and Sam Stewart, had other ideas. Mcnamara. Lee Jackson at dummy half. Derek Fox. Well, I think he's been told as well to get the kicking game going.
Well, he's got the ability, we all know that, back in England. But it's an amazing thing. A lot of teams probably would go downhill when you lose a player like Ellery Hanley in the first few minutes, especially with all the controversy that's gone on and all the media exposure that has been given this week. And it's amazing, in my book, the Great Britain side seem to be building in confidence. They seem to have confidence in each other, which is amazing to say that there's so many players that have not played with each other.
Here's Harrison. It's a real collision when Harrison and Sargent come face to face. And Sam Stewart's in there as well for good measure. Lydon. He is a big game player, isn't he? Now Derek Fox. Over the top. One for Hallis. There's a chance here. Hallis, well, he pushed the number 5 Mackley out of the way. It's a penalty to Newcastle. So the pressure is relieved. Number 15 for Newcastle Knights.
This was a lovely kick here by
Steve
Fox.
Fulmer, sorry Mike.
Yeah, that's a lovely kick here by Fox. It was a planned move, but there's no doubt about it. Hallis went for the man, and quite frankly, I think he may have done better to have gone for the football. He had a chance, it was bobbling high.
So Steve Fulmer is on. I'm just trying to check who's coming off. It's Robbie O'Davis, I think, the full-back. So Fulmer on, O'Davis off for Newcastle Knights. Jonathan Davis is still there downstairs. Jonathan.
Yeah, and I think Great Britain are playing a correct game here, especially against this big, robust Newcastle team. You know, they've got a great kicking game with Derek Fox and, you know, Joe Lydon. You know, they're not going to change their game plan or their style at all, Newcastle. They're just going to, you know, bang it up the middle, hopefully have a break. You know, but it's a lot harder to do it from your own 25.
Certainly is. And Great Britain tackling manfully. so far tonight, and ahead by 4 points to 0. Half an hour of this first half gone. Glancing over at the official clock on the far side of the field, they say 13 minutes remaining. So perhaps a bit of stoppage time for that injury to Mullane. The British inside their own 22 with Ellis. Now Devereux, the Welsh connection, and this is great to see from Devereux.
He's certainly got a lot more confidence, hasn't he?
Fox. The Fox and Ellis combination's working quite neatly too so far. Harrison now. Harrison standing in the tackle for a moment. That was the last one. Lydon again with the kick. Puts boot to the leather. Herman picks up.
Main advantage, Eddie, is that Lydon is not kicking it straight down the throat. He's pushing it away. The bounce, it could go anywhere, just those vital seconds that allows the defence to move up those extra metres.
There's Stevie Fulmer on number 15 for Newcastle Knights. Good tackling from the British three there. Now Rodwell. Again, great tackling from Connolly. And it was on Glanville, and he's no slouch. And neither is Sam Stewart, and he nearly had the shirt ripped off his back there. Rodwell again, shaping to kick, electing instead to find Sargent. It was a risky effort, and Devereux got a foot to the ball and managed to cling on to it. So Britain back in possession with Hunt. And that could have been a Shepherd, but referee Harrigan gives him the benefit of the doubt.
He was on thin ice there, wasn't he?
Looked obstruction from up here, I must say. Paul Hume. Paul Hume's been sporting a couple of black eyes round the team's hotel this week. Visible evidence of the endeavour he put in against Parramatta. Fox. Lydon's in support. Now Carl Harrison. Lee Jackson on the burst. Good play. Derek Fox has arrived in support. Fox going on his own. Mcnamara's there too. Desperate defence from Newcastle. They just keep him out. There's Big Broadbent. Oh, he just dropped it as he went over the line. Tragic for the young man. Came into the side from Sheffield Eagles.
Oh, what a dream start that would have been. The ball flicked out there, and Broadbent, he was counting the 4 points and the glory. It just was squeezed out, but it was a strong tackle. It had to be.
So close for Paul Broadbent for a glorious start to his Lions tour. The word on him is that they're taking it match by match as far as Broadbent's concerned. His teammate Mark Aston, also out here with Souths, is now the replacement for Andy Gregory. And Broadbent will make a decision, and probably in the light of the Hanley injury, Broadbent might be playing for his Lions place here.
Yes, it wouldn't be a bad idea to inform the man at half-time either, because he really has put his heart and soul into it. Must be very difficult for these two players.
Rodwell with a great break. He brings Michael Hagan into the play. Oh, good tackling from Lydon. He stole the ball then. Was that legal?
Well, I think it was passed to him. Hagan was trying to keep the ball alive, and it just finished up in Lydon's hands. See, he was trying to get the ball alive. Lydon said, thank you very much indeed. Extra confidence. Let's really give it to him, boys.
Connolly standing in the tackle, gets it away to Paul Hume. Hume going down again the same direction. Connolly again at dummy half. This is Harrison now. Jackson's there in support again.
It's Newcastle's turn to hang back now. They're feeling the effect. They're not moving up.
Mcnamara. Hallis is outside him, and Hallis again is forced wide and into touch. Good defence from Shane Mackley.
Well, the one thing that they are supporting the man with the ball, Mcnamara keeping this ball alive. Not really much chance there for Hallis. But it is very, very pleasing to see that Great Britain are supporting the man with the football.
4-0, the British lead with 5 minutes on the watch to go. Stoppage time to be added. Great Britain again must try and keep the Knights back there if they can. David Smith, Devereux and Hunt finishing him off. Herman is the man in at dummy half, running strongly, and Devereux scrags him to the floor. Sam Stewart, good tackling again from Connolly, getting through a tower of work is Connolly. There he is again. Kick downfield is from Chapman. Hallis just waiting for the ball to settle down. And setting off strongly. Really exciting player, Graham Hallis. Showed what he could do against Illawarra, remember.
Yes, who could forget that casual little tap with his foot to get the ball and then race away 65 metres for a sensational try. I thought he was on again.
I think he did too. Michael Jackson has it though for Great Britain now. It's with Lee Jackson and Fox. Misses out Lydon, brings Harrison in. Well, I tell you what, the Newcastle front row know that Carl Harrison's on that field. There's no doubt about that. Ellis, Devereux.
And that Harrison charge really made its effect.
Fox hoists the midfield bomb. Who's underneath it? Well, Connolly is now feeding it out wide here to Jackson. Jackson's heading for the corner. Has he got the strength? No, great tackling again. Wonderful play from the winger Mackley. He saved, I would say, 3 tries here in this first half.
Oh, wonderful play by Connolly. Jackson found himself with space out wide. Just didn't have the speed and the strength, but full credit to the winger. Mackley used his touchline intelligently again. He's played well in defence as Mackley.
Remember, all that came about as a result of the up and under from Derek Fox.
The replacement for Newcastle in jersey number
and Newcastle are bringing on number 16. 16 is Wayne Richards, and Mark Glanville, I think, is leaving the field. A result of that heavy collision between him and Harrison. I told you that the pack of the Knights was feeling the weight, and they felt the weight of that tackle.
Oh, it was a tremendous charge by Harrison. He really did give it to him.
So Newcastle have had to make 2 substitutions. Great Britain just the one, but the crucial one on the night. Ellery Hanley lasting 6 minutes and 41 seconds of this match at the Marathon Stadium. 4-0, the British have the lead. We're approaching half-time. 38 minutes on my watch, but a bit more to be added on for stoppages. So Richards on, Glanville off. He gets a sympathetic round of applause as Hallis clings on, and it's Wayne Richards who's straight into the tackling stint on Hallis. This now is Mcnamara. And Jonathan Davies has a word, I believe, on Glanville's condition.
Yeah, I think, he's had a bump to the head. They're not sure if he's concussed or not. But that'll be a big blow for the Newcastle Knights, because Glanville is one of the, star players, one of the playmakers. So, it's maybe it's a nasty thing to say, but it's a great bonus for the British boys.
Yeah, that's right. Jackson getting away from 2. Just held on halfway by Richards. Now Lydon shapes himself up, winds himself up for the kick. Not a bad one either. It's not going to run dead. Number 15, Fullman, must pick it up and get out of trouble. Waiting for him, Devereux and Hunt.
There's the experience again coming from Lydon, pushing the ball away from the Newcastle players. It gives Great Britain all the time to get those extra yards and put pressure on them. And quite frankly, Eddie, Great Britain, they really haven't missed Ellery Hanley, have they?
Certainly haven't. But I must say, as Connolly drops on that mistake, when you're watching this, the step up in intensity that Great Britain will expect on Friday in the second test, well, it's almost awesome. But Great Britain will be there, and they will give the Aussies a go. There's no doubt about that. Well, we're in stoppage time in this first half, Mike.
Well, there you see Jackson knocking on. It was an awful play, the ball by Hallis, and believe you me, the hooker, he's wound up. he gave Alice a real mouthful.
Here come the Knights then. Great Britain know that they mustn't surrender anything in this closing period of this first half. 30 seconds of stoppage time played. Still a couple more minutes to go, I think. And confirmation that Mark Glanville is concussed. He has had concussion, so he won't take any further part tonight, of course. International rules. Once you're off, you're off. Devereux doing well in the tackling. David Smith feeling the full weight of the Welshman then. Little chip over the top was from Rodwell. Well read by Ellis. Snuffed out the danger.
Good play by the little Welshman there in the sweeping position. And I've been impressed with both the centres, Connolly and Devereux, especially in defence. They're no slouches, John Schuster and David Smith. Very strong men indeed, but those two centres for Great Britain have kept their opposites very quiet indeed.
Jackson. And now Michael Jackson. And there's another Newcastle Knight player injured there. It's Mullane. He stayed down. There he is, flat out. He needs treatment. It was a knock-on anyway. The two sides will scrum down. And Mullane is in the wars, isn't he? Head bandaged. He looks very groggy indeed, but taking his place in the scrum, just about, Hagan and Rodwell. This is Hagan. He drops it under pressure. Oh, well, the referee let that one go too.
That was a lovely tackle there by Kevin Ellis. He also has snubbed out his opposite, Michael Hagan, who's no slouch, having played for Queensland in State of Origin football on many occasions.
Sam Stewart running strongly now. The last thing Britain want is a try in the closing seconds of this first half. Hagan, Rodwell, that's good ball, but Great Britain have it back. Even though it was a knock-on, that's the end of the first half. It's all over as far as Britain are concerned for 40 minutes. They go into a well-deserved break at half-time. They lead by 4 points to 0. Just the one try from Joe Lydon, but it has been a very, very good first half performance here. Sam Stewart, the prop forward, Lydon preparing to restart this match. 40 minutes away then from another British victory against Winfield Cup opposition. And how much of a confidence booster that would be, Mike Stevenson, if it all came true and Britain went into that second test with a creditable performance here against Newcastle behind them.
My word, Eddie, it is so important.
So important indeed. Another big effort is needed. Mark Sargent, the tackling counter being shown to you now amongst the backs. Hagan and Ellis sharing the work for their respective teams. It's the last tackle for the Newcastle Knights. It's right on halfway. This is Rodwell with the kick downfield.
It's important now, Eddie, that these vital 10 minutes in the second half, that Great Britain do not allow Newcastle to get into the swing of things. They have to control it, not do anything stupid.
Lee Jackson running strongly from dummy half. And I think as a hooker, Mike, you've been a bit critical of that department of the British game too, as Furbank carries the movement on.
Well, you've got to do a lot from dummy half, and that's the most important thing. And I don't think that we've utilised that as much. It helps bring in the defence a lot tighter and give you a lot more chance in your outside backs.
Lydon under pressure with that kick. Herman is underneath it for the Knights. Bundled Paul Hume off his feet, couldn't get away from Harrison or Furbank. This now is David Smith. Little Derek Fox tenacious in the tackle tonight. Smith again. Connolly. It's a good game. As Mike was saying in the first half, these two centres have had Connolly and Devereux. This now is Miller, Glenn Miller. Mullane, the head bandaged. Substitute Fulmer in at dummy half. Rodwell, high kick, one to test Lydon. He'll hear the thundering hooves coming towards him. He caught it on the full behind his own try line. It will be a tap on the 22.
Full of confidence, Joe Lydon there. Calm, cool and collected. Defused the bomb. And that will give the Great Britain boys a great lift.
Furbank on for his 7th game of this tour. This is Paul Hume, though, in 15. The busiest man on tour, by the way, number 3, Gerry Connolly tonight. This is his 8th appearance. And what an appearance it has been. And that is, I think, according to the referee, a knock-on against Michael Jackson.
Just a little one there. But it looked as though, you see, Kevin Ellis screaming to the referee, Bill Harrigan, that it was reefed away from him. Harrigan having none of it. How's that for a feed?
Well, as we've said earlier on this tour, scrummaging in this part of the world, simply a means to get the game restarted. Here's Schuster.
I don't think there's much difference anywhere in the world.
Don't tell Fred Lindop. This now is Wayne Richards. Sam Stewart. Confirmation of the Furbank substitution for Broadbent. Little Robbie McCormack clings on despite Devereaux and Hallis and their attention. Hallis ran straight across Fulmer as he put the kick in there. Underneath it, almost inevitably tonight, is Lydon. Well, the British management said that 4 or 5 of these players could easily be in the test lineup in Melbourne on Friday night. And a few big games could nudge Malcolm, really. There are 1 or 2 contenders now, Mike, in the red, white and blue of Great Britain.
Including this guy here.
Jackson from dummy half, running strongly over halfway. Great saving tackle from Wayne Richards. But Great Britain making the break. Ellis. Mcnamara in support. Ellis electing to go on his own. Brought down by Mark Sargent. Now Devereaux over the top to Fox. On the tackle from number 11, Miller, was quite something on Furbank. The ball simply shot out of his hands. But there's a mistake from the Knights. Fox is onto it in a flash and he's still going.
Bit of a hospital pass there. Just juggled with the ball, did Fox. Didn't have time to control it and got it away. Both will be lucky that nothing came out of it.
Devereaux hugging this touchline, now cutting inside. Smith has him. Connolly and Furbank. Fierce challenge again, but this time Furbank up to it. Ellis deciding to come back on the blind. This is a great run from Ellis. Ellis going for the corner. Hunt in support, just couldn't hang on. But that was incisive attacking from Great Britain, courtesy of Kevin Ellis, who's taken a bang in the process.
Well, a lovely dummy, and Ellis went through the gap. And unfortunately there, Hunt, was he held back? He's screaming to the referee. Tony Herman was the man that was all over him. I thought that could have been a penalty.
It is a penalty now. Offside against Great Britain. Straying into an offside position at the scrum. Bill Harrigan, man in charge.
Just a little bit over-eagerness there on the Great Britain camp. They're very keen, the referees out here in Australia, at the scrum base.
Here come the Knights again then, and Sargent really was more concerned with the challenge coming in from Devereaux. He didn't keep hold of the ball. It went backwards though, says referee Harrigan. Smith's able to drop on it and keep possession for the Knights. That was Rodwell. This now is McCormack. Impressed by the tackling of this, and it's only in quotes this, second string of Great Britain.
Well, there you can see 2 sets of play the ball, and the Great Britain camp are moving up quickly, but not that time.
Sam Stewart being hauled back by Furbank. 4-0, Great Britain ahead. 6 minutes, nearly 7 minutes now of this second half. Sargent does well, unloads in the tackle. Too little McCormack. Ooh, that was a bit high from Michael Jackson. Ball comes free and penalty for the high tackle. by Jackson on McCormack. Referee allowed the advantage. Newcastle then dropped the ball, and the referee says high tackle it was, penalty.
Well, you called it, Eddie. Jackson a little bit too high there. Robbie McCormack, he's got some skills, this guy.
Shame, because the tackler coming in jolted the ball with the pressure of the tackle. Should have been Great Britain's ball. As it is, it's a Newcastle penalty, and they're in the 22 with Mark Sargent. Smith, the dummy half, electing to come this way. This now is Miller. Glenn Miller driving towards that British line.
He really has got a good band of supporters, that fella.
David Smith. Newcastle under the British posts. There's Miller again. Over the top to the winger. Oh, did he get it down? No. Foot in touch.
Oh, great work.
Forward pass, was it? Well, Herman anyway. It's been disallowed.
Great work here by Lydon and Jackson. But Glenn Miller, he was blowing the trumpet there, getting the ball out wide to Herman. But that's great defence. Look at the hooker and the fullback combining. Ball goes out wide. That is wonderful defence. Full credit to Herman. He tried. I've seen tries given for a lot worse than that.
Paul Hume. So Great Britain just out of jail. Looked as though they'd cracked on that touchline, but good defence smothered Herman out of play. Here's Connolly. Fox. Really getting his kicking game together tonight, Derek Fox, but that's not one of the best of them. Rodwell, the man in possession. Now it's Herman, so close to a try just a moment ago. Tackling from the whole duo, Mcnamara and Lee Jackson. Here comes Richards. Signs here that Newcastle are starting to take control of this second half. But Great Britain defending well. Fulmer. Now Sargent. You have to defend well against this fella. Been a bit disappointed with him tonight, Mike. Not really ran rampant like he did on Saturday, but here come the Knights again. That's good play. McCormack, little chip over the top. Lydon has to be quick. Lydon is quick.
Once again, building in confidence. It's great for the players. They've kept the ball alive here. Lead little kick through, but Lydon equal to the task. As I mentioned, it's a wonderful feeling when you know you've got a confident fullback behind you. But there's no doubt in the skills of this Robbie McCormack. He'll cause Great Britain quite a few problems in the remaining minutes.
Oh, that sort of thing won't, though. Sam Stewart, disgusted with himself. Joe Lydon wondering what's going on. And Malcolm Reilly's been down to the touchline. He's had a word on the British bench, and Mark Aston is going to come on for his Lions debut, and it's Steve Mcnamara who is limping off. Well, don't tell me it's an injury for Mcnamara. He only just got into the British camp at the weekend. Perhaps it's a bit of fatigue. He looks worn out, doesn't he?
Well, he's giving it his best shot, Eddie.
And here's Lydon. Marvellous run from Lydon again. Over the top is Hunt. Must be a try. It is. Lydon created that with the break. Hunt celebrates his third try of the tour. Lydon, a wonderful break. Hunt was in support, screaming for it, and it all came as a result of this scrum.
Oh, beautiful play. He came on the blind side. It was a planned move. He pushed the man away. Steve Fulmer couldn't take him. And if there was any doubt about that man, Hunt scoring a try, he proved his worth. Third on the tour. But it was this man that created it. And on this performance, he would have to have no friends in the world if he's not selected in the test for Friday night. Great try, and didn't it come at the right moment?
Well, please, Mark Aston, the first man to congratulate Hunt. Only just on the field, Mark Aston, to become the 37th British Lion on this tour. So that really is a new record of players used. This is only the 10th match, remember, of the Lions tour of 92. But Alan Hunt with the try, and Devereux with the difficult angle again to try and improve it. It'll talk to himself. Come on, he says. That's a study in concentration. Oh, dear. Well, what can you say about that? Downstairs is Jonathan Davis.
Yeah, no, just that man Joe Lydon again. You know, he came in off the scrum. You know, made the opportunity for Alan Hunt, and like I said, like Steve said, if Joe hasn't put himself into the test, you know, well, I don't know what else he's got to do. But a superb try. You know, Newcastle had all the pressure, and Britain just broke away and scored the try, crucial try.
Yes, the Knights did look, didn't they, as though they were taking this second half by the scruff of the neck. But with Joe Lydon in the side making breaks like that, anything can happen, and it did.
And that must be interesting viewing for Malcolm, really, because it's very rare that he can use a blindside attack from the scrum. And I'm sure that Malcolm really would have put that in his notepad for Friday's test.
Just handed the attendance figure, 9,758. Disappointing crowd, I must say, but they were expecting 18,000 here at the very least. There was even talk of a 30,000 gate. Well, 9,007 is the official attendance.
Well, all I can say is a lot of kids sneaked in through the turnstiles.
Derek Fox. That's good supporting play from Furbank. Furbank making the break. Supports there from Hume. Inside to Lee Jackson. And Newcastle Knights on the rack here. Ellis attacking again down this right-hand touchline with Devereux. It's on the last tackle. Devereux didn't hear the shout from Harrigan. It's the turnover.
Once again, Great Britain finding those gaps. We said just before half-time that the confidence was building. It's even greater now. The grit and determination has returned to the Lions.
8-0 they lead against a Newcastle Knights side that's just below the top 5 in the Sydney Premiership. They have high hopes of making the final 5. They play South Sydney on Sunday. So this isn't a side that is anything other than in form. And they showed on Saturday against St George just how much in form they are.
But what a vital victory if this will turn out that way with the remaining minutes. It really is a wonderful boost for their chances in the second test. They were a little bit down after the loss to Parramatta.
They certainly were, but this will boost them along all the way as Devereux sets off on a weavy little run. A quarter of an hour of this second half gone. 8-0, the Lions ahead against Newcastle Knights. And in possession with Furbank, who's run strongly in this second half since he's come on. Now Fox. In support, Jackson. He's had a big game, Jackson. Fox. And Ellis. And Hunt. Went backwards. Referee is consistent. Hunt just ankle tapped. And then he ran into the, or slid rather, into the legs of Glenn Miller there. Aston. Mark Aston of Sheffield Eagles. Dream for him and Paul Broadbent. Training with South Sydney, or heading here to train with them. Now part of this British Lions tour, Mark Aston, the replacement for Andy Gregory. Good tackling again from Great Britain. That's Chapman. And this now is Stewart. Through the tackle. That's great stuff from Stewart. First time really the forwards have made any impression. Long pass. Here's the other one. It's Mark Sargent. Britain just standing off for a moment, but then Hallis and Connolly get him. McCormack. The diminutive figure. High kick. And Aston underneath it. And as he collected that kick ahead, flattened by McCormack. Harrison.
It's another player that's impressed me tonight, along with the hooker Lee Jackson. But I think the start of the show so far has to be the fullback Joe Lydon.
Devereux is having a best game of his tour so far. Just losing his footing on halfway. Here's Lydon. Hume. Whoops, that was a bit too much ahead of Alan Hunt. And Paul Hume knew it wasn't the best pass in the world. And all that effort from Lydon goes to nothing.
Well, you heard a few remarks there from Hume. I think that said it all. For you people that can lip read.
8-0. 17 minutes on my watch. Referee wants it to reform. Fed by Fulmer. Fulmer again. And it's opened up a bit here for Rodwell. He has Mackley on his outside, and Mackley's taking them on, but the ball there came loose. It must be a knock-on. Harrigan saw it. Knock-on. Again, strong defence from Great Britain, although a couple of players are still out and needing attention, and that's Joe Lydon.
Well, let's hope the run of injuries does not continue. That is one injury we do not want, especially after his performance tonight. It was a pretty hard tackle on Mackley.
I think he caught Devereux's stray boot there as well. He looks a bit dazed, doesn't he? Lydon gingerly getting to his feet. Let's get another comment while there's a break in play from Jonathan Davis downstairs.
Yeah, I think things are going well at the moment. You know, the lads have realised that, you know, with this big, powerful Newcastle Knights pack, that it's starting to spread the ball. You know, I think that we are now playing the British type of game, throwing the ball about, and there's gaps opening up there. And people like Devereux, Hunt, and Joe Lydon, you know, are kind of playing the best rugby of the tour. So hopefully, you know, we can carry on with the same vein.
Let's hope so. Let's hope it continues as well in Melbourne on Friday. Don't forget, you can see that match live and exclusively only here on Sky Sports. Kick-off in Melbourne is 8 o'clock, so set your watches back home. It's 11 a.m. your time. That's the kick-off of the big second test. Match Britain really must win, and with marauding runs like that from Carl Furbank, perhaps we have the chance.
He's certainly made his presence felt, hasn't he, since he's come on. And it looks like he's bringing Sam Stewart out.
Well, Harrigan saw something there. Wants a word with Stewart. So this could be a penalty to Great Britain right in front. It is.
Well, the only thing I can get him for is trying to pull him down just at the last moment, but it really was just a very feeble attempt, wasn't it? Still, the man in the yellow jumper, Mr. Harrigan, is all that counts.
Change of kicker, you'll notice, as Great Britain elect to perhaps have the two. Derek Fox, Featherstone Rovers, kicked 2 goals already on tour. John Devereux, after slipping and falling on his backside with that last conversion attempt, has surrendered the job. Lydon having a word with David Fever, the physiotherapist. Notice David Myers is warming up as Derek Fox takes this penalty. He's kicked it. The British fans delighted. The lead now is 10 points, 21 minutes on the watch.
Derek Fox, Mr. Reliable, plays with Featherstone, but a damn good Dewsbury boy, I can tell you.
And Lydon is off. He's been replaced by David Myers. Now, I wonder whether it's the bang on the head or whether it's a precaution, and that Lydon is in the test team on Friday. On the performance tonight, he certainly should be.
They can't leave him out. I know as he was taking that kick, he was saying to the bench he didn't want to leave the field. But I think Malcolm really has done the right thing. He has the skills to test the Australians, and we need players like that in the second test in Melbourne.
10-0, Great Britain are ahead. They're in possession too. And there's Joe Lydon taking a very well-earned rest on that bench. Excellent game from him tonight. Lovely ball that was from Fox. Oh, so close for Great Britain again. The ball had been knocked forward. It was so close to a try.
That was unfortunate. Hallis was showing how to run onto the ball. Beautiful pass here by Fox. Oh, and Schuster just clicked his ankle. That must have been a quarter of an inch to stop him. It was enough to put him to ground.
So the Knights are back in possession with McCormack. Hallis the man doing the tackling on that occasion. This now is Mackley. Chapman is the dummy half. Substitute Fulmer on a run.
It'll be interesting to see, Eddie, how Graham Hallis fares now that he's moved into the centre. A little bit more work, and we showed there that he's not frightened to run onto the ball.
Good tackling. Mark Aston, Paul Hume. Oh, great stuff from Ellis. He read that perfectly. Fulmer's kick ahead, and it stuck to him like glue. Into the picture for the first time, David Myers. Arrived 48 hours ago.
He's got a lot to prove, David Myers. A lot of people back in England thought he should have been selected in the first place. Well, Myers has his golden opportunity now.
He's the 38th Lion on this tour. Remember, a new record as Lee Jackson takes it up. Trying desperately to get to his feet. Here's Fox. And Fox, too, probably had his best game of the tour tonight. Derek Fox, 6th game, but only his 2nd start this. Hallis, good tackling on Matthew Rodwell.
The combination at half-back have worked well. Ellis and Fox. Good kicking game, especially from Fox and Lydon.
David Smith.
And also, Eddie, when you think about it, the front rows worked hard. Harrison, but Jackson, a little forays from dummy half. That's created a lot of problems in this Newcastle defence.
Yes, they've broken the line a few times, haven't they? Got over that advantage line, which is so crucial. Whereas Sargent, as you see there, he's in possession now. He can't get through this red, white and blue wall. Rodwell. Not a bad-looking kick. Myers is there, though. Now let's see whether David Myers can show a clean pair of heels. Well, he makes it to the 22. Tackle coming in from Smith and also from Herman. Connolly, who dumped down rather dangerously then. Gerry Connolly, fortunately, he's up very quickly. Sam Stewart all over Jackson. Connolly's there in support. Here's Lee Jackson. Now Fox. Harrison. Trying to force the pace, Great Britain. Looking to offload if they can in that tackle. Fox again. They're attacking down the left-hand side. Hallis takes the tackle from Schuster. It was the last one. Fox arrows that ball towards the posts, making Newcastle play at it. Rodwell has it. Good chasing. Ellis and Devereux bring him down. David Smith. Well, Harrison's had a big game. Here's Mackley. Saved a few tries with his tackling in the first half, forcing Hallis wide. But there's a bit of spirit out there on display, Mike. They've cut back from the setback of losing Hanley after only 6.5 minutes or so.
It's been a very, very confident showing. Let's not take anything away from Newcastle. They are a very good side. They're a tough team. Not many teams come up here to Newcastle and take control, and not many teams can keep the Newcastle Knights with no points at all in a game. Let's hope it stays that way.
10-0 so far. It'll be 6 more for Great Britain. There was a foot in there. Look at this from Ellis. What a game this fella's having tonight. Kevin Ellis, the Welshman, running straw. He just dropped it at the last moment. We speak too soon at times, don't we? Dropped it in the tackle. The challenge coming in from Rodwell, and Ellis ran straight at him. Here's Schuster. Knight supporters getting a little frustrated, want their team to get going against the Lions. McCormack now. Good tackling, Hallis. Chapman. Off the chest of Aston. Getting the possession back was Paul Hume. Lee Jackson again. Hasn't he run well from dummy half? Doesn't he load well to Hallis? He is Hallis going down that touchline. Rodwell to beat. Can he skin him? No, he's again forced into touch. The fourth time tonight that Hallis has had a try in his mind and has been forced out of play.
Wonderful play by Hallis. In and out. Well played indeed. Stevie Fulmer had nothing for him, but unfortunately Matthew Rodwell had. That's a great cover defence that. Came across, eye on the target. There was never going to be any doubt. But once again, another great run by Hallis. He seemed to enjoy being moved into the centres.
Plenty of scrums going Newcastle's way, 12-9. Britain did have one against the head, though, remember, in that first half. McCormack. No, sorry, that's Steve Fulmer. This is Rodwell. That was McCormack. This is Carl Furbank, and Furbank's collected. Has he the pace? He has! Carl Furbank, big beaming smile. It was a woeful pass, looking for McCormack, and Furbank over under the sticks, and Great Britain celebrate. They're so delighted. It's Furbank's third try of this tour. Right under the sticks. He was looking behind him. He just had the pace.
Well, the ball from Rodwell just didn't go nowhere, did it? And this man really has made an impression since he came on. Carl Fairbank. He had the look of a three-quarter there. Gritted the teeth. Here's the ball. Off he goes. Look at him go. I'm stooping for this. I'm going, boy. Nobody's going to catch me. Not even the cows back home could stop that one.
Derek Fox leading the celebrations of the try. Carl Furbank delighted with that. His third try of this tour. The Bradford Northern man on his third Lions tour. Derek Fox then with the 100% record. Both of them from right in front now, and it's over. Flags are up. Great Britain 16, Newcastle 0. Doesn't that make good reading? Doesn't this make good viewing?
Certainly does, and we saw a glimpse of the crowd. Some of the many thousands who have travelled the 12,500 miles from Mother England. They're cheering them on. And there's a great feeling, look at that, there's a great feeling amongst the crowd, and I'm sure that same feeling is running through the veins of the Great Britain side.
And running through the veins of Jonathan Davis, no doubt. Great news, John.
Yeah, great try there. Hopefully that's put it beyond Newcastle nice, but your stamp still on the charge. Yeah, dreadful pass there by Rodwell, and you know, the galloping second row from Bradford just sneaks in under the post.
It was a great try. Steve Crowe has come on while Jonathan was talking, number 17. This is Rodwell, though, trying to repair some of the damage. He found McCormack that time. And there he is, Steve Crowe, first touch. Chapman is the dummy half. Here's Rodwell, he's moved upfield now. He's trying to get some credit back for that woeful pass. Fulmer is in 15. This is Chapman. It's the last tackle. Applause from the British supporters, and one or two of the players applauding that defensive stint from Great Britain there as they weathered that storm.
Newcastle just lost their way there. They didn't realise it was the last tackle. They should have opted for a kick. But as you mentioned, Eddie, the defence is held very firm. A few moments early in the game was a bit shaky. They weren't moving up, but they soon rectified that, and it's been a strong performance.
Little knock on. Carl Harrison trying to get to his feet. Just lost possession. 31 minutes gone on my watch. It's 16-0 to Great Britain, and what a boost this will be for the second test in Melbourne on Friday. 11 a.m. your time, the kickoff. Prince's Park, Melbourne, the venue. Sky Sports will be there. Make sure you are too. The Ashes up for grabs. And all the build-up for the big match from 10 a.m. with Peter Hutton in the studio in London. A day not to miss. And if the first string show as much enthusiasm as this second string, Mike, we must have our chance.
There's always a chance whenever there's a game, sport, chess, you name it. There's two sides. They have to show the same grit and determination. They'll still have to bring and lift their game a little bit more, but I'm sure that man in the picture, Malcolm, really will sleep somewhat easier tonight.
John Devereux not happy that he perhaps put a blemish on what otherwise has been his best performance on this tour by dropping that ball. As a result, the Knights have possession with Schuster. And Great Britain have a lot of tackling still to do as Smith runs straight, runs hard, bounces off one, can't get away from Aston. Now McCormack. Oh, another mistake from the Knights. Oh, but offside.
Well, he said the ball bounced one way off the Great Britain player who was in an offside position. Oh no, he's got Mark Aston there. No doubt about it. He's got to stand in front of the man playing the ball.
He played the advantage and waited to see. There was nothing on for the Knights, so he eventually blew. There might be something on for them now with Fulmer. Now it's with number 17, Crow. Ball goes to ground again. Chapman. It's a real hard battle as far as Great Britain are concerned now. Some pressure in here with Sargent running strongly. Good tackling though downstairs by Michael Jackson. Rodwell heads it straight into the arms of Lee Jackson. Jackson's off on a run himself. Just ankle tapped by Steve Fulmer.
Another great run there by the hooker Lee Jackson. You see here that Rodwell once again take his eyes off the ball. Does a Bobby Charlton. Lee Jackson does the rest. He's impressed me tonight, especially from some of the dummy half runs. I reckon he could have played himself into a test match as well.
He's receiving treatment as we watch this play. He's receiving treatment some metres behind the play as Hallas takes it up again. Schuster and Mackley close him down. Furbank in at dummy half. It's a gutsy little performance this though from Great Britain. That hit a Newcastle player. Luckily though it was swallowed up by Rodwell for them. And this is a good run. That's a great run. Some support has arrived here and Britain having to work overtime to keep Mackley out of it.
That was good play by Schuster to bring on Mackley. They've had few chances, Smith and Schuster. They're talented players.
Ball at times going to ground. It's a bit scrappy from the Knights' point of view, but here's Sargent. Connolly asking for a bit of support out wide. They've played the ball out wide to the winger, and again, this time David Myers forces Tony Herman wide of the mark, and they celebrate Australian style for the defence.
Why not? We see Sargent making the break, Connolly coming in for the tackle, but Myers did the right thing. He only allowed him the option to go outside him, and once again that touchline becomes your friend.
Touch judge is on though, seen something. Fox has been called over to him, and so too Kevin Ellis. It looks like it's going to be a penalty to the Knights, is it? No, the referee says a little word of warning was enough. No penalty, it's a scrum. Fox has the possession. I thought for a horrible moment all that was going to come to naught. Here's Fox, chased by a posse.
Oh, what a great run. He's worked tirelessly tonight, and that's back to 6.
No penalty, the ball wasn't grounded. Tony Herman being a little bit overzealous. The ball wasn't on the floor, it was kicked out of Derek Fox's hands. So, yet more good news really for Britain. They make a few more precious meters, and they have 6 more tackles. And on my watch, just 3 minutes to play, plus any stoppages the timekeepers are adding on.
What a great boost, Eddie. Great Britain can post yet another try.
The way they're playing, they could do. Here's Furbank again. Straight through Rodwell, is he? No, Rodwell up to the task this time. Britain want to play the ball quickly. Myers is there, so too is Fox. Ball spread out wide to Paul Hume. Hallis is the dummy half. Derek Fox. Aston, Fox again. Great break from Derek Fox, brought Britain into this position. The night's tiring. Great Britain finishing the stronger here. Ellis. It's now with Michael Jackson, and he's bundled into touch again. What a good game these two wingers, Herman and Mackley, have had in defence.
Certainly have. They had to be the man in their spot there. Jackson coming through. But the way that Great Britain have supported, especially late in the game, we have not seen a performance like from Great Britain on this tour, where they've really bounced into it in the second half. Well, tonight has been a change, and what a welcome change for their coach Malcolm, really. Under a lot of pressure, believe you me.
16-0, Great Britain lead. Less than 2 minutes to go to the end of full time. And this is going to be a good win here in Newcastle for the Lions tonight. The test match getting ever closer. Newcastle Knights, I must say, in some disarray with their passing in this second half. And we thought when we brought you that defeat against Parramatta that we might be looking down the barrels of 2 defeats going into the test, but look at that scoreline. 16-0.
A lot of grit and determination by our lads tonight. And what a boost that they've given the tour. A lot of people expected Newcastle, very strong in their forwards, to just pile drive a British side that had so many changes. Let's not forget we've had some new lads come in.
But here's another try for Hunt. He took the ball to himself at the play the ball over under the sticks. His second. Alan Hunt now with 4 tries. The leading try scorer on tour for Great Britain, Alan Hunt. Under the sticks, 20-0. It gets better and better and better.
Just what the doctor ordered here. Keeping the ball alive. Look how far the referee's taking them back. And disarray. And once again, it's this running from dummy half. Great Britain have to learn a big lesson from this. Alan Hunt did. Look at that quick play of the ball. Newcastle were in disarray. Sam Stewart didn't have the speed. The anguish on his face. This guy does. Have a look. I'm up there. That's a try. And isn't he happy?
Great moment for Alan Hunt. Let's get a word on that from Jonathan Davis. Jonathan leaves us today, heads back home for pre-season training with Widnes. Thanks for being with us, Jonathan. You've ended on a high note, eh?
I've thoroughly enjoyed this performance, and hopefully, you know, they can go on with a lot of confidence for Friday and, you know, bring back the Ashes.
We hope so. It's full time. It's all over. And Great Britain have won here by 22 points to 0. Good tries all the way through. Lydon set it going. 2 from Alan Hunt. Furbank was in there as well. Goals from Derek Fox. A good night here in Newcastle. Great Britain on their way to the test in good heart.